Hi everyone, it's me Little Bird. So in my last video, I had explained how Creator used me as a vessel to get that justice done, to show how within all of us, it's not just me, within all of us, there are answers to everything that has been going on. And how he used my soulmate to help me come back from these curses that had taken my life. This curse that was to get rid of me worked, and I was dead. I overdosed and I died. Because you don't revive somebody and you don't resuscitate them. You don't give them CPR if they're breathing, right? And that's what he had done with Ren. He placed Ren in my life at that exact time that he knew that these curses were working. The exact same way that he had placed my cousin in the right spot, in a sweat when I was 17, when all of those odd things were happening in my life. He did that in 2 different times in my life, when I was 17 and when I was 28. So he used Ren to bring me back. And once he brought me back, Ren didn't tell me that I had overdosed. He gave me instructions on how to find myself again, how to be that person that he knew and loved, and respected. And he gave me the instructions on how to do that. And this is all through Creator. He is telling me that I need to get all of that stuff out of my head, out of my heart, and put it onto paper. And then once I had that out onto paper, it's like that moral inventory in recovery. You have to do a searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself. And I have done that a few times, So I was doing these moral inventories until I met these guys in my life. I did a daily inventory on things that happened in my life every day, and I let go. All those things that I had no control over. And then this witchcraft, it just went and did this whirlwind, and my life fell apart. And then it literally took my life. And then justice was served. And once I delivered those papers, then I was ready for recovery. So I went to Sam's Southern Elker Manor in Lethbridge. And when I was there, I went to a meeting, and one of the gentlemen, he was a young man. He was at many meetings with me, and he had never spoke. And when we had that burning desire, we both stood up and gave our names, and I gave him the floor. Because I had been there before, and I know how to get this stuff out of me. But had he not opened up that day, he might not have found recovery. So when I listened to him explain what he was going through and what had happened in his life to get him as low as it did, I realized that that was the same man that I had just written about. He gave a few little details, and I was blown away. And the thing that he couldn't wrap his head around was that he is now seeking recovery in the city that these men who had murdered his dad were arrested. And we are in this recovery house together. We are supposed to be going to treatment together. So I ended up not going to treatment with him because he needed to get his stuff out. He needed to work on his stuff, and I needed to work on mine. So I didn't think that it was a good idea for us to be teaming up, or not really teaming up, but that's it's a powerful thing that ended up happening in our lives, right? And it had the power to break us or make us. And together, it could have had the potential power to break us. So instead of going to treatment with him, I went to Sam's, the administrators at Sam's, and I had told them my story. And they were shocked because they knew his story. And I said, yeah, we are going to treatment together and we can't. So if you can take somebody from my week that I go in and switch me with the next week, that'd be the greatest thing, because we can both work on ourselves and it won't have a detrimental effect. Well, you see, Creator had put somebody else in my path at that time. He placed another soulmate of mine in that treatment center. I am sitting there, and this young man's group came out of group. And they all come upstairs and they're going to go out for a smoke. And this tall, slender, good-looking guy walks past and he looks over at me and he just stops and stares at me, and his mouth drops, his eyes bug out, and it was like, oh my God, this has happened to me before. And it did. It did when I was 17 years old. This was the same gentleman, and I had no idea at that time. This was the same gentleman that I had met in Pigeon Lake Regional. This was my brother's friend. This was Robbie. So he introduces himself to me. And when he seen me, it's not him physically. It was his spirit that recognized mine. Just like how his spirit had recognized me when I was 17. And he just stood there gawking at me, and the guys that were all around me just started laughing, and he is like, I need to know you. Who are you? So I introduced himself to me as Betsy, because at that time, I'm happy with my name. When I was in Pigeon Lake Regional, I had wanted to use my grandma's name forever, and I was never allowed to because, oh, well, we already have an Elizabeth. Oh, we already have an Elizabeth. Oh, we already have a Liz. So for the first time, I was able to use Liz. And that's how he knew me as. When I was 17, I was Liz. And now, at 28 years old, 11 years later, I meet Robert Hagerman. And Robert Hagerman is my soulmate. And, he helped me again keep that smile on my face. God is so good. God is so good. Like how he stitches everything together. All these lives that the curses had been breaking apart, how he stitches them all together. You know? Both of my soulmates that I was talking about, they're no longer here with us. But I want their children to know that your daddies were amazing people. They were very kind, generous with their friendship and their love. They helped me so that I could help other people. And your dads, they're in a better place right now. Just waiting for all of us to join them. Ren died in a car accident. He was in a taxi that was T-boned. I never got an opportunity to thank him for saving my life. And Rob, who was so scared that he was gonna go to hell, never went to hell. He died in a house fire. But Creator took his spirit He took his spirit from his body, and Rob didn't feel any pain. And in 1995, when Rob and I, or 1995, in 2006, in 2006, when Rob and I were speaking, and we realized that he was my Robbie and I was his Liz. He told me that he didn't believe in God because he didn't understand how God could allow somebody who is a loving person and who only loves people and just wants to see them happy, how he could send them to hell. Because when Rob was a child, he seen himself just like how I had seen myself holding my daughter's hand. He seen himself as a man with the same marks. And he knew it wasn't too far off that he was going to be gone. He knew that he knew more things about his life than he even realized. The one thing that he never knew is that he was going to have a little girl of his own. And that hell, that fire that he seen was just how his body left, not his spirit.